These are some of the most startling instances of once reputable YouTubers gone bad, from Elliot Rodger and his misogynistic manifesto to Stephen McCullagh airing a phony broadcast to conceal a murder. Let's begin with Elliot Rodger. He is notorious for his 2014 Isla Vista killings, and it turns out that he actually had a small following on YouTube. It wasn't exactly high-level stuff, just a few misogynistic rants here and there, along with self-pitying vlogs about how he felt underappreciated, but no one knew just how far he would take his beliefs. On May 23, 2014, Elliot began his crime spree by stabbing 3 men to death in his apartment, with one of his victims having 97 stab wounds, which goes to show how utterly insane Rodger was. This is a level of violence few people can stomach, but Elliot perpetrated these homicides like they were no big deal. Of course, as a self-professed incel and misogynist, Elliot wasn't going to be satisfied by taking the lives of men. What he really wanted was to attack women, and that's just what he ended up doing. He made a quick pit stop first because he wanted to post one last video to his YouTube channel. He titled it Retribution, and it shows Rodger talking about what he plans to do. He literally details his entire attack strategy in the video, and just a few hours after posting it, he'd taken the lives of 2 women near a University of California sorority house. He also injured over a dozen people by shooting or hitting them with his vehicle. The spree finally ended when Elliot took his own life while sitting in his car. The police found about 550 rounds of unused ammunition next to him. He'd clearly planned a much more brutal attack, but for some reason he decided to end it all just an hour after posting that video. You'd be surprised at how many shooters use YouTube as a platform for their hatred. Even though he was not quite as obvious as Elliot Rodger's, Trey Sessler is another example of a violent man who became involved on the website. Sessler posted videos under the Mr. Anime moniker, and you can probably guess what type of content it was. Yep, this crazy dude was a big fan of the genre, and he posted a ton of anime reviews that racked up 1 million views in total. The thing is, he also had some concerning videos about guns, and they gave unsuspecting viewers a window into his dangerous, violent mind. Right before his violent tendencies reached their bloody conclusion, Sessler posted a video titled, Mr. Anime is planning something. But since he hadn't done anything truly dangerous up until then, his viewers failed to realize what he was hinting at. On March 20th, 2012, Sessler began his spree by shooting his mother 4 times in the garage, and he followed it up by firing at his brother, Mark, when he came in to investigate the noise. Mark tried hiding in the bathroom, but Trey just knocked the door down and finished the job. Trey's dad was fast asleep while all of this was happening, and after eliminating his mother and brother, the homicidal YouTuber slipped into his own father's bedroom and shot him dead. Trey had an entire mass shooting planned for his former alma mater, Waller High School, but police were luckily able to apprehend him in time. Unfortunately, another YouTuber named Pekka Eric Alvinen managed to see his plan through to the end. The guy was a big fan of the Columbine massacre, even posting videos about it on his channels, Sturmgeist89 and Natural Selector 89. He also made content about other acts of terrorism, like the Tokyo sarin gas attack, and this made him a prime target for another YouTuber named Robin McVeigh. She's made a reputation for herself as an anarchist, and if anyone tried to disagree with her violent views, she'd immediately threaten them. Now, McVeigh radicalized a bunch of troubled youth like Pekka, all of whom seemed to be enthralled by mass shootings of all kinds, and their group began harassing other YouTubers like TJ Kirk, aka the Amazing Atheist. Kirk actually reported Pekka's channels to authorities because of his involvement in the harassment campaign, and this brought his love of school shootings to light. Regardless, several months went by and the police didn't really do anything about the report, and just like the other shooters I've mentioned, Pekka posted a final video on his channel that really should have tipped someone off. I mean, it was literally titled Jokla High School Massacre, but for some reason, it just slipped under the radar, and Pekka put his plan into motion on November 7th, 2007. He entered his high school a couple hours late with a semi-automatic handgun, and within 2 minutes, his shooting spree had begun. By the end of it, 6 students had lost their lives, along with the school's principal and nurse, and Pekka finished his spree by unaliving himself for good measure. As you've clearly seen, YouTube can be a bit of a hub for the twisted and insane, but not all of them are school shooters. Michelle Hobson didn't even kill anyone, but she might be one of the most violent YouTubers ever. She had a pretty successful channel called Fantastic Adventures with 800,000 subscribers, and she'd received hundreds of millions of views over the course of her career. Her videos revolved around her 7 adopted children who were between 3 and 13 years old as of 2019. But strangely enough, her 3 biological kids never showed up. Honestly, it looked like pretty wholesome content at first glance, with the kids jumping around on couches and playing with toy lightsabers. But there was actually some unimaginable abuse going on. You see, Michelle would punish her kids when they didn't say the right lines. She'd shove their heads into ice-cold water, refuse to let them use the bathroom, and on one occasion, she straight up pepper sprayed one of her adopted daughters. This went on from 2011 to 2019 until Michelle's biological daughter, Megan, finally decided to do the right thing by reporting it to the police. Needless to say, Michelle was arrested and charged with 30 counts of domestic abuse, and her biological sons ended up in jail for failing to report her crimes. Neighbors had been reporting signs of abuse for years by this point, and honestly, if the police had properly investigated, these kids would have been saved from years of trauma, but maybe the way they appeared in her YouTube videos threw authorities off. After all, this wouldn't be the last time a content creator hid behind their channel to commit a nightmarish crime. Stephen McCullagh, better known as VoteSaxon07, aired a whole fake live stream to give himself an alibi. Basically, he launched a GTA 5 stream on December 18th, 2022. And while it looked like everything was all happening live, he'd actually recorded the whole thing a few days ago. A couple minutes before the stream began, McCullagh texted his girlfriend, Natalie McNally, and told her he'd be busy all night. She was 15 weeks pregnant at the time, and she had no reason to doubt her boyfriend. Little did she know, he had some homicidal intentions towards her, and the whole stream was a ruse to throw the police off his trail. A man matching McCullagh's description was seen getting on a bus and later walking past Natalie's area, and at around 9 p.m. local time, 3 hours after the stream began, neighbors heard a scream coming from her place. The same mysterious figure was seen catching a cab a half hour after the incident, although he'd changed into a fresh set of clothes. I should probably mention that the guy's face was partially visible in some of this security footage, and it's almost certain that he was, in fact, McCullagh. So what does all of this mean? McCullagh launched the stream, headed to his pregnant girlfriend's house, and took her life. She was stabbed, strangled, and beaten to death, and the perp nearly got away with the whole thing. He was pretty smart about his plan, even changing his clothes one more time before conspicuously taking out the trash so he'd be seen at home, and he'd kept his phone off the whole time. To make things worse, he headed over to Natalie's place the next day so he'd be the one to find the body. And that threw the police off too, since he called them himself. However, McCullagh wouldn't escape justice for long. When the police finally put the pieces together, they say McCullagh may have committed the murder because he saw Natalie talking to her ex. He's still on trial for the crime, and the earliest court date people can expect is in 2024. I guess we'll have to wait and see if he faces justice. But until then, from Stephen McCullagh's fake livestream alibi to Elliot Rodger's pre-shootout manifesto, these were some of the most shockingly good YouTubers turned bad.